anyways, I'm riding my motorcycle with my husband, and this Nevada trooper rolls her window down, and she's kind of diagonally towards me, and she hollers at me, and she says, "Hey, what's that?" And she's pointing at my head, at her head. And I yelled really loud, and I said, "My helmet," you know. And so she put on her lights and, you know, detained me, and oh, my God, I'm not exaggerating when I say the woman came out at me like a pit bull about to chew my leg off. It was something out of like a horror movie. And she just lunged towards me, and she said, the first words to me were, "I do not appreciate your attitude." Now, in retrospect, I'm thinking, what attitude? I mean, she asked me a question, I answered it, and I'm thinking it could be one of two things or a combination. First of all, I spoke loudly because we have loud motorcycles. So I wanted her to hear that I said, "It's my helmet." Secondly, I had put this bandana around my head to where my forehead was kind of scrunched, and it looked like my eyebrows were like angry, you know. I'm thinking maybe that's what it was. My eyebrows were angry looking. And she says, "I want to see your documentation." And I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm not in Arizona, so I don't think she's talking about a green card, you know. But I wasn't about to argue with her because she's got the badge and the gun, and she scared the bejeebies out of me. And so I said, you mean my driver's license and registration? And she goes, "All of that." I mean, she just cut me off. And then my husband got up off of his motorcycle to reach into his saddlebag, and he was getting ready to, and she get up and reach in, and she yelled at him, pointed at him. Now, my husband is 65 years old. I'm 50. She points at him, and she says, "You sit." And she points to the seat of his motorcycle. And later on, my husband teased, and he says, "Golly, honey, I was so obedient, and I didn't even get a treat." You know, and I'm thinking, how dare somebody speak like that, you know, to my husband? And then she got all my documentation, and she ran my information, and she came back to me, and she said, "You know, in a town like this, if you get into a crash, that thing you're wearing on your head is not going to save your life." And I just barely opened my mouth because I was going to say something, and she shoved her finger in my face, and she says, "You don't speak until after I'm finished speaking." I'm like, whoa, now I get it. I mean, I didn't have any tattoos. I just was wearing, my husband calls it loud Mexican, black and bright pink striped sweater with like fur around the hoodie, and black fur around the hoodie. So, and I felt like a clown. She made me sit in the front of, there's like a little, I didn't even notice this before, but this patrol car had like a little chair where detainees can sit down and stuff. I reported her to the internal affairs people at the NHP, and I got the Southern commander on an audio tape talking about his frame of mind. And let me tell you, these police officers do not care one lick about the Constitution. And when people tell me that it's not the police, it's the policies, I say bull. Because I know of 2 police officers or 2 people in law enforcement that I respect. And that's not very many, considering there's about 800,000 sworn, oath-taking law officers in the United States of America. And when I say, that's going to sound very harsh to some people, but this is how I feel about it. If it, let's say it's the 1% of cops that behave the way that woman behaved against me. Let's say it's just 1% of cops. The 99% know that she is behaving that way. What are they doing? They're tolerating that sort of thing. And so they all know it. They're all in bed. If you don't expose it, you're part of the problem. Let's do George Carlin swearing on the Bible.
Swearing to God doesn't mean anything. Swearing on the Bible doesn't mean anything. You know why? Because Bible or no Bible, God or no God, if it suits their purposes, people are going to lie in court. The police do it all the time. All the time. Yes, they do. It's part of their job to protect, to serve, and to commit perjury whenever it supports the state's case. Swearing on the Bible is just one more way of controlling people and keeping them in line, and it's one more thing that holds us back as a species.